I found out my brother was sleeping with my wife at our family reunion. Part 2. You don't cry, my therapist said, tapping her pen against her notepad. Her name was Jordan, early 40s. Calm, measured, had a stare that felt like it saw 10 years into your soul. I don't cry here, I said. She raised an eyebrow. Do you cry at home? No. Do you get angry? I thought about it. I get quiet. She nodded. You know what that is? Repression? Control, she said. You're trying to stay in control of something because you lost control over something else. I wanted to argue, but I couldn't. She was right. She added, your brother violated your trust. Your wife violated your love. The one thing you can still hold on to is your own mind. That's why you're here. That session didn't fix anything, but it did give me a tiny crack of clarity. I didn't just lose a wife. I didn't just lose a brother. I lost how I saw myself in the world. Work became my escape. I buried myself in spreadsheets, systems updates, and performance audits. I worked late, volunteered for early calls, said yes to tasks I would have normally avoided. My co-workers thought I was going through a motivated phase. I let them think that. What I didn't tell them was that I broke down in the office bathroom more than once. Fists clenched, chest tight, dry heaving over a sink. Sometimes I stare at my reflection for so long it didn't look like me anymore. I was surviving. That's all. Not thriving. Not healing. Just floating. It was a Wednesday when the email came in. Subject line: I miss my brother. From Mason D. I sat at my computer for a full 10 minutes before opening it. I read it once. Then again. Then again. Here it is, unedited. Ethan, I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know that. I've been going to therapy. The real kind. Weekly. And it's wrecked me in ways I didn't think possible. I didn't realize how broken I was until I destroyed the one person who always stood by me. I've spent every day since the cabin thinking about what I did. I ruined my relationship with you, with Mom, with the rest of the family. I threw away decades of brotherhood for something I can't even justify anymore. I've written you 100 times. Deleted every message. This is the only one I'm sending. I don't expect anything from you. I just needed you to know that I am sorry. Truly, if there's ever a time in the future you're willing to talk, even just to yell at me, I'll be here. Mason. I stared at the screen until the auto-lock kicked in. Then I shut my laptop. Brianna, again. We hadn't talked much since the fallout, just the occasional text. But I reached out that night. Me, you ever hear from Mason again? Brianna, he emailed me a few weeks ago. Apologized. I told him to go to hell. Me, he just emailed me too. Brianna, what did you say? Me, nothing yet. Brianna, that's probably smart. After a pause, she added, Brianna, coffee again soon? A new kind of familiar. We met at a cafe near her office. She looked tired, but stronger somehow. Less fragile than I remembered. I've been boxing, she said. Helps me not scream at traffic. I laughed. That's fair. We talked for almost 2 hours. About Mason. About betrayal. About how our brains kept looping back to the what-if moments. What if I confronted him sooner? I said. What if I didn't ignore the signs? She added. We sat in silence for a while. You know, she said eventually, I think we both need to stop asking those questions. They don't lead anywhere. I nodded. So what do we ask instead? She thought for a moment. Maybe the better question is, what do I do with the pain now? That stuck with me. Rebuilding. It took months, but I started clawing my way back. I signed up for a hiking group. Started cooking again, not microwave meals, but real stuff. Chicken piccata, Cajun pasta, sour cream pancakes on Sundays. I moved the bed to the other side of the room, bought new sheets, painted the walls. I even took down the photos, not out of spite, but because they didn't represent anything real anymore. And one day, completely out of nowhere, I cried. For almost an hour. Not because I missed Haley. Not even because I was angry at Mason. I cried because I missed a version of me before I knew this level of pain existed. Closure? Maybe. I never responded to Mason's email. Not yet, but I printed it out, folded it, tucked it into a drawer. Not because I forgive him, but because one day I might want to look him in the eye and tell him exactly what he destroyed. Haley, on the other hand, is a closed chapter. She moved away, Seattle, I think. She sent one letter after the divorce, handwritten. I read it once, then shredded it. Some wounds don't need closure. They just need distance. And Brianna? Funny enough, we kept seeing each other. Not in a romantic way. At least not at first. We bonded like war veterans. People who had been to the same bomb blast, picking shrapnel out of each other's skin. Eventually, something shifted. A touch lingered. A laugh came easier. A glance meant something. We're not rushing anything. We both carry a lot. But there's something there. Something fragile and real. Something honest. If you're still reading, thank you. Truly. I never thought I'd share all this with the world, but putting it out here, even anonymously, feels like exhaling after holding my breath too long. If you're going through something similar, all I can say is this. The pain doesn't vanish. The betrayal doesn't fade. But you grow around it. You build a new life not despite what happened, but with it as part of your story. I'm still healing, still rebuilding, but I'm not lost anymore. Not broken. Just moving forward, one honest step at a time. The strange thing about healing is that you don't notice it while it's happening. You wake up one morning and realize the weight on your chest isn't as heavy. Your hands aren't clenched. You aren't angry when nothing's wrong. It had been a full year since everything unraveled. The reunion, the betrayal, the divorce, the exile. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't just surviving. I was living. I'd moved into a new place, smaller, but filled with things that felt like me. A whiskey shelf I'd actually built myself. A stack of vinyl records I inherited from Mom's attic. Books I had time to read now. Plants I didn't kill. I still saw Brianna occasionally. We grabbed dinner every now and then. But whatever spark had hovered between us never ignited. And honestly, that was okay. We needed each other during the collapse. But we didn't need each other forever. It happened on a Saturday. There's a little independent bookstore in Denver I go to when the world feels too loud. No one bothers you. The espresso machine hisses softly in the background. It smells like old paper and cinnamon. That place feels like a chapel. I was flipping through a copy of All the Light We Cannot See, rereading it for the third time, when I heard a voice beside me. You're going to cry again. I looked up. She was standing at the end of the aisle, clutching a tote bag full of paperbacks. Shoulder-length brown hair, wind-blown. Soft eyes. A quiet smirk that didn't feel sarcastic. It felt earned. Excuse me, I said, smiling before I realized it. That book, she said. I can tell you've already read it. Yeah, a few times. So you know how it ends. I do. And yet, you're here again about to ruin your day. I laughed. That's kind of the point, isn't it? Maybe, she said, walking closer. Or maybe you're a sucker for punishment. Could be both. She held out her hand. Avery. Ethan. That was it. The spark. Clean. Quiet. No fireworks. No adrenaline. Just warmth. Coffee, and then another. We ended up in the cafe attached to the bookstore. She ordered a dirty chai and pulled a half-read copy of The Night Circus from her bag. I set my book down, suddenly more interested in her story than any author's. She was a graphic designer. Freelance from home, hated deadlines but loved typography. She had a dog named Elwood and a tendency to doodle during conversations. She'd been in a long-term relationship that ended 2 years ago when she caught her ex texting a coworker things no coworker should be texting. I didn't have to fake interest. I didn't have to hide pain. Something about her made honesty feel easy. When she asked, "So what about you?" I told her the truth. The whole thing. Mason, Haley, the betrayal, the therapy, the slow climb out of the wreckage. She didn't flinch, didn't pity me. She just nodded and said, "That must have been hell." It was. And now I'm not in hell. She smiled. That's a good place to start from. The difference was in the silence. You know how you can measure a connection by the quality of the silence between you? With Haley, silence was cold. With Brianna, it was fragile. With Avery, it was peaceful. We didn't need to fill every gap. We'd sit on my balcony, passing a bottle of red wine back and forth, just watching the city slow down. No rush, no pressure. I wasn't trying to impress her, and she wasn't trying to fix me. She liked the quiet parts of me, the way I double knot my shoelaces, how I alphabetized my spices. She said my serious face looked like I was doing math in my head. I told her she blinked in Morse code when she was nervous. We laughed like we'd known each other forever. The moment I knew, it was the first snow of the season. We were walking Elwood through Cheeseman Park, bundled up and sipping cocoa from a shared thermos. At some point she tripped, one of those slow-motion half-stumbles, and spilled a splash of cocoa onto her jeans. She froze, looked at the mess, then looked at me, ruined, she said. And I don't know why, but I burst out laughing. She followed, uncontrollably. People stared. We couldn't stop. That was the moment, not the kisses, not the long talks or sleepovers or sex. That shared stupid laughter over something so mundane. That was the moment I knew. Telling my mom. It took me a while to bring Avery to meet my mom. Not because I was unsure, I just wanted it to feel right. My mom had been through enough. She didn't need to see me fall into another disaster. But once she met Avery, it was like flipping a switch. She's different, Mom told me later. I know. She doesn't pull energy from you. She gives it. I'd never heard it said like that, but it was true. With Avery, I felt full, not drained, not anxious, just whole. Mason again. One night, months into the relationship, I got a text from an unknown number. Hey, I know you probably still hate me. I'm just glad you're okay. No name, but I knew it was him. I stared at it for a while. Then I typed, I don't hate you. I'm just done needing anything from you. I hit send. That was it. No fight, no closure, just release. Avery's question. We were lying in bed one Sunday morning, the Denver sun spilling over the windows, her head on my chest. She asked quietly, "Do you believe in soulmates?" I thought about it. I believe in timing, I said. And I believe some people fit in ways that make you stop looking for the exit. She didn't say anything for a moment. Then she whispered, "I'm not going anywhere." And I believed her. 1 year later, again, we've been together over a year now. I proposed in that same bookstore where we met, aisle 3, historical fiction. She said yes before I even got the words out. We're not in a rush for a big wedding. Maybe something small under a canopy of string lights with good wine and a bad DJ. Sometimes I look at her and think, thank God it all fell apart. Because if it hadn't, if Mason hadn't shown me who he really was, if Haley hadn't revealed the hollowness of our marriage, I might have stayed trapped in a life that looked good on paper and felt like nothing in my chest. I would have missed Avery. I would have missed this. If you're still here, thank you. This is the last part of my story. The end of a long, brutal chapter, and the beginning of a better one. If you're in the middle of the wreckage right now, if you're reading this with a broken heart and a glassy stare, please hear me. It gets better. Not overnight, not without pain, but it does get better. And sometimes when you least expect it, the right person walks into the aisle you didn't even know you were searching.